You know how we didn't know how exactly the, like, individual damage numbers would work, right? Like, we didn't know if it would be, right, if it would be, like, 3 hits of this and then another 2 hits of this, or 3 hits of this and then 2 hits of this, or 3 hits of this and then 2 hits of this. So, it seems as though it's 3 hits of this and then 2 hits of this, but the 2 hits of this don't hit the same spot. One of them hits the left, one of them hits the right, and I don't know if it's even possible to hit an enemy with both of them. So it's actually 1 hit of this. Also, it seems like the AoE is so small that it can just miss. So yeah, Flins' big burst is 100% utterly dog shit and completely worthless. Just like Verissa. Which, by the way, alright, is the only shit part of Verissa's kit design, and they copied it for Flins. Of course they did. Can we even say Navidad buff when he gets out damaged by Raiden? I don't think Raiden is the optimal last slot on that team anymore, by the way. I'm fairly sure Navidad's best team is gonna be Navidad, Farina, Lama, Inefa. Anyways, chat, the fact that you need 2 Nograi characters, not 3 for the set, is a massive deal for Flins, for people that don't like Inefa, right? If you needed 3, it would have made it so that Flins' best teams without Inefa were like half the DPS of his best teams with Inefa. It's not gonna be that bad. It'll be bad, but it won't be that bad. Anyways, let's start with some Flins stuff. So, base, attack percent, flat, attack, total. Attack. EM, LC percent, EM multiplier. I'm gonna add a line for LC percent instead of having to go inside the EM multiplier formula every time to change it. What is LC percent? Just direct lunar charge damage bonus. So the 20% from Flins' kit, the 10% from eeach artifact set. Okay. Damage percent, crit value, crit multiplier, E-attack, LC, attack Q. LC damage. His best artifact stats are EM attack crit, right? You probably go attack, not EM attack, but you are looking for all 3 of those stats, yeah. 20% from substats. Do we go TOM Inefa? Probably. 20% from TOM. 24% from half uptime TTDS, because our rotations are shorter than 20 seconds. Why not Gilded on Inefa? Because Flins is doing enough damage that 20% attack on him is probably better. But I can check Gilded as well later. I don't mind. Another new set on Inefa? I mean, you can use a new set on Inefa, but you can also use it on Aino, right? Like, you can do new set Inefa Noblesse Aino, or TOM Inefa new set Aino. But TOM is... I'd rather have the TOM effect than the Noblesse effect. Instructor, maybe? Yeah, we could also consider new set Inefa Instructor Aino. Maybe that's better, because Aino's damage is bad. You're probably right. I'm down. Is Instructor uptime good enough? It'll have about 6 seconds of uptime. I guess you don't get it on your second mini burst, huh? I mean, you can probably get it on the second mini burst if you do your swaps quickly, but yeah, maybe not. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just stick to TOM. You swap out of Flins without losing his infusion? I don't think you can. Alright, EM. And now, boy, we have a lot of external EM buffs, so let's take a look. So, we have 60 from Aino. We have 6% of Inefa's total attack. We have 60 EM was removed. Oh, was it? Wait, what the fuck is the point of this character then? What? Does she do anything now? I mean, it's still on here, only in CN so far. I'm gonna assume it's still there for now. I don't want her to be completely worthless, okay? I just don't. Llama's so cooked on release. That's so not true, by the way. Bro, Llama's a significant buff to Hyperbloom teams. Right, just on top of the why are you saying Klugi as if she's not kind of broken? Anyways, we have 160 from Flins' own kit. We have 180-ish from Sucrose. Is that it? It is, right? It's not. We have 120 from the set from the team and 80 from his own set. All right, lunar charge damage is, we have 20 from his passive, 20 from his set and the non-card support set, 48 from the craftable weapon, and 35 from Ino C6. EM multiplier, 1.14 times 6 times EM divided by 2000 plus EM plus 1 plus lunar charge damage bonus. Fucking hell. Isn't there another 20 lunar charge damage from the support set? I don't think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure this isn't the set directly giving you 10% per Moongleam effect. This is describing that each Moonglare effect gives you 10%. So this set gives you 10% and then this set gives you 10%. You don't get 20 from each set. It could be 20 from each set though, but I don't think that's how how it's gonna be. Maybe cope a bit. Give Aino Makara Aquamarine. I don't know about that. And yeah, I forgot the Inefa passive. Sorry. All right, damage percent. Do we have any? No. Well, Sugo C6 maybe. Yeah, no, that's fake as fuck. Okay, whatever. Crit value, crit ascension, main stat, 20 substats. Set bonus. Is that it? Does Flins get any other CV from other sources? Just sig, yeah. So no. Okay, dude. Honestly, I'm kind of pissed off by the fact that like Flins' numbers aren't even that good. It's just that Lunar Charge is getting so much fucking support with like he ends up with an insane effective attack stat. Like yeah, he just ends up with so many fucking stats. But like his motion value, I think is less than Inefa. No, it's similar, right? Because it's 65 times 3 times 8. Yeah, but like it's almost the same amount. But he does like 3 times the damage because he just ends up being the recipient for so many more buffs. I know. I guess for now we can take a look at a damage weapon just to see how pathetic she is. But in practice, you probably go Fav. Total damage, total DPS. And the only reason why she has total DPS is because of the Lunar Charge ownership. Without Lunar Charge ownership, without Lunar Charge ownership, instead of 9k, she's at 2k. Inefa EM share to Aino, it doesn't work like that. Inefa isn't team-wide. It's to herself and to the active character. It won't work on Aino. Alright. Finally, we have Sucrose. 113k here with C6 Aino. Without C6 Aino, 107k. It'll be technically a little bit less than that, but so. That's why you don't include his big burst, because it's complete dog shit. That's why we don't include it. Right, look at the numbers on the big burst, and it's technically, potentially, right, up to 44.2% times 3 plus 220 times 2, right? That's 120 plus 440. That's about 560. But I haven't seen footage of both of these hits actually hitting an enemy yet. So with only one of the hits hitting an enemy, that's not 560, that's 340. 340 is as much as this, but it costs 70 energy instead of 30. By default, with just the ER from substats, he basically breaks even on energy with 2 mini bursts, which means you'll need to build over 100% ER if you want to add a big burst on top of that, and you basically just get the equivalent of 1 more mini burst at the cost of having to build over 100% ER. It is not worth it. What about the refund from SIG? It's not enough. Maybe at R5 SIG it's enough, but man, like fuck, dude. To be fair though, I fully expect them to actually change it so that at the very least, both of them hit. At the very least. Is it a 20-second rotation? No, this is a 16-second rotation. And someone explained to me what to do with Flins when he's on field. You EEQ, then you fucking, I don't know, man, you hang out with the enemies and you jerk off together for 6 seconds while waiting for your next E cooldown, and then you do it again, and then you swap out. He is a really boring kid, okay? Like, 6 seconds, you just fucking wait. Like, you do normal attacks, but it doesn't matter what normal attacks you do. It doesn't matter if you get fucking crowd control for 6 seconds. It doesn't matter. He just aura forms, yeah, pretty much. He only lasts 6 seconds. True. What about Loma with Flins instead of Sucrose? I wouldn't recommend it. The buffs you get from Sucrose are just way too fucking big. Also, let me check something real quick. We could do new Catalyst, because it's a fuck ton of EM, man. 405 EM instead of TTDS. It's not quite as much, but it's almost as much. Yeah, because TTDS is half uptime. Would be better in practice? No. Because I was already assuming the half uptime. The rotation that has TTDS will be a lot better. Can you try Wandering Even Star? 4. It's better. No. Yes, it's better. Because Flynn's damage is a tiny little bit worse, but Inefa damage is better, so it actually turns out a little bit better. What about R1? Probably a little bit worse. A little bit worse. But it's about as much. It breaks even at R2, I think. How good will Makara Aquamarine be on Aino? Pretty decent. You can look at R5. A little bit over 5k more team DPS. Pretty nice. Shit is so funny. Wait, what's going on? Lend me some EM Inefa. This is C0 right at the hyper carry we're up against. Oh man. I mean, yeah, let's take a look at something like slots other than Inefa. First would be, what would be the best electoral slot here? Would Auron be the best just because of his fucking C6? Sarah? Sarah can only buff the first E though. But maybe that's enough to make her better. Maybe if the enemies are big enough and they can get hit from the last hits of these, you can extend your buff duration just enough to get it on the second one as well. No, but that also means you can't fucking swap from Sucrose to Flins. Yeah, no shot. This is fake as fuck. This doesn't work. Is it just Yansan? Is it just no Night Soul Yansan? Yeah, it is actually. Fuck it out, dude. It is Yansan. Yup. Yup. And now we add the buff, the Flins. So we have 30% attack. And we have... Wait, you're forced into 18-second rotations. I forgot. Oh, shit. That's so ass, isn't it? 25 damage to Flins from C6 Eon Sun? No. This is not a Night Soul positive team. You're probably... I mean, you're gonna be full Night Soul for the first one. For the second one, you're probably at like 30, maybe. I guess, since his normal attacks suck, you can just dash spam to maintain full Night Soul. So I guess you can stay more or less Night Soul neutral. That's... Okay, yeah, that's the play for sure. Can't wait for the sprint gameplay. Amazing. And that's probably it. But it's not divided by 18, so we're cooked as fuck. Okay. Percentage of premium, 77%. Very cool. Let's try Auroron. Auroron probably goes Noblesse too, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure you want Noblesse over Cinder City. I guess we just go Stringless. Auroron is worse. Fuck, that's goddamn pathetic. Is it really that bad? God, it can't be that bad, right? I didn't give him an Electro Goblet. Okay. I had forgotten the goblet, but still, this is not very good. It is worse than Eon-San. So, C6, I know. C6 Eon-San, C6 Auroron. Naming sheets, I know, right? But does Auroron do no damage, bro? I don't know. Ask Koyo, man. Oh, actually, no. He should be doing a little bit more than that. I'm not gonna give him Stringless. I also had forgotten the Stringless damage percent, but it's so bad on him. We're gonna give him something else. Do we assume Harp as a stat stick? I kinda want to. Can I? Can I just assume Harp? Everyone has Harp, right? I'll be honest. We'll do Viridescent Hunt. Let's look at Sarah, I guess. Rotations are gonna be scuffed as hell, by the way, for this. Sarah, weapon. Let's assume... Do we just assume Sack? Because that's what people play, really. Or do we assume Harp? Do we assume you have Harp? Fuck it. But her personal DPS is 800. But we have half uptime on her attack buff, which is 86% of base attack divided by 2. And we have half uptime on the crit buff, which is 60% divided by 2. 72%. So it's basically the same as Auroron. There is a possibility that you can potentially, maybe, perhaps, get the second mini burst before Sarah Burst expires. Or before Sarah Buff expires, right? Because Sarah Buff doesn't start the 6-second cooldown when you charge attack. It starts when it explodes. And if you have 0 ping and you do your like, you frame perfect swap to Flins, use use burst, it might be doable. Right? And if you do that, Sarah's better than Eon-San. Or, if somehow you can swap out of Flins in the middle of his E to go refresh Sarah buff, Sarah's better than Eon-San. But otherwise, she's on the same level as Auroron. And I think this is what's gonna actually happen. Fischl, not great. If we go Golden Troop, it's worse. Yeah. Hooked. What about Bennett? That's where the problems come in. We can look at Bennett. Fischl worse than Auroron? I mean, yeah, because Auroron gives you attack from the C6. Fischl's cons don't actually help in these teams, because the personal damage Fischl does is basically nothing. Like, unironically, you're probably better off playing Electro MC, but I'm not calcing Electro MC because I can't be fucking bothered. Also, I'm pretty sure that if you use Yai, optimal rotation does not use 3 E's because you're better off just using 1 E and swapping out. I'm pretty sure, like, 1 E for TOM uptime is probably worth doing, but then the 2 more E's is probably a DPS loss. I don't know, man. This is gonna be Bennett. Alright, man. Bennett kind of makes things awkward as fuck because of energy, okay? With Bennett, your ER requirements go from... Alright, ER requirements are at around 130 here. If you use Fav on Ino, around 120. 120 is pretty achievable through substats alone without having to actually, like, change your stats very much. How does Inefa catch it? Inefa's not catching 10. This is Flynn's ER with Inefa as your, as your second slot, right? As your Electro slot, right? If you change Inefa to a different Electro character, say Eon-San, ER requirements stay very, very similar, right? With Eon-San, you get a little bit less from your Electro, right? Instead of 3 from, or 3 caught and 2 non-caught, you have 4 non-caught, but you get an additional 5 proc, so the ER requirements stay fairly similar. And then you have Bennett. You lose the Electro from, like, particles from your second Electro. You lose the Electro particles from Electro Resonance. You don't have that 5 proc, and you get 2 particles from... ER requirements are at 200 now with Bennett. On top of that, good fucking luck swirling Electro in this team. Still okay. Well, our ER requirements are around 70% higher, and we don't have Electro app to swirl Electro, so we can't use Sucrose either anymore. I guess you use Shilonen instead, right? If you use Shilonen, instead of this, you have this, and then another 5, around 190. That's like sands, basically. So you lose 1 sands worth, and you lose the Sucrose stuff. stuff. Instead of Sucrose, you'll have Shilonen. I'm just gonna override the damage, honestly. About 1k DPS from Shilonen. I'm not calcing Shilonen DPS in this team. I cannot be fucking bothered. And we lose a main stat. We need ER sense. And yeah, I think that's it. Flins. C1, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so we just get 3 of these instead. That's pretty much the only difference. His personal damage goes from 77k to 104k, which is almost 50%. Team DPS goes up by around 30k, which is like not 50%, 25%. Flins C2, yeah. You can also look at Flins C1R1. C1R1 is basically the same as C2. What about C0R1? R1's a little bit worse than C1. It's about as good as with the gain from C2. Look at C3 as well, then C2R1. Let's also look at Inefa C1. Not as good as getting Flins R1. You can also look at Inefa C0R1. Basically the same as C1. Better than getting Flins as C3, but it's worse than getting Flins R1. What weapon did we assume? For now, I'm doing calcs with Ketane. Does C1 make it so you can use Big Q? No. It actually makes the Big Q worse. Alright, C1 gives you energy, sure, which in practice is 14 energy, but it also lets you do 1 more mini burst. So it actually increases his ER requirements a little bit. Not by much, but a little bit. Does he use Big Burst? No. Big Burst is worthless. You need more ER with C1? Yeah, because you get 14 more energy. Wait, no, it's 21 more energy, right? Yeah, you get 21 more energy, but you also get 1 more mini burst, which costs 30. So it increases the amount of total energy you need by 9. Other hydros. Premium other hydros. So, no more I know. Let's take a look at our other options. First, we need to remove the lunar charge damage and the EM. And then, who do we look at? Yelan makes her rotations 18 seconds, so I really don't want to do Yelan. But we can look at Yelan anyways. Yelan. I guess Yelan goes on the new set, but she doesn't get any stats from that. Okay, wait, what weapon do we give Yelan? We give her 5, right? Yeah, we give her 5 at 104k. Okay, so this is Yelan. Next, I want to look at Mona. The thing with Mona is you don't have full lunar charge uptime, which kind of makes things sus as hell. But it's also not bad lunar charge uptime. You'll have full Thundercloud uptime for Flins and almost full Thundercloud uptime for Inefa. It's mainly the lunar charge reaction damage that goes down. Can we do TTDS Mona here? This ain't happening. Okay, cool. I still think you put her on TTDS, but it's burst every other rotation Mona. Because her burst doesn't do that much, right? This is C1 Mona, by the way. Mona is definitely dog shit if you don't have her C1, right? Okay, yeah. So C1 Mona is a little bit worse than Yelan. C4 Mona, probably a little bit better. It's about as good. Yeah, okay. So it's kind of shit. Who do we calc next? Also, wait, no. That's not 25. It's about 20. Yeah. But we also have a little bit here. Gonna be like 15, not 10. Farina. Yeah, we can look at Farina. For now, let's look at the fucking Serenity's Call. Yep. Kinda ass. We can look at Key too. Sure. Farina. Key. A bit better, but it's not actually enough to make it better than the alternatives. Okay. If you got this 100 EM, Nilo would have actually been a decent option. That's how bad our Hydro options are right now. Sijuin. Sijuin doesn't do anything though, right? Yeah. So yeah, like the best option will be Ino, but it's not because Ino's good. It's because we literally don't have a Hydro character that actually works well, right? Like not a single one. Like overburst stuff. Aito has the same problem as Singto and Yelan. This number is bigger than 16. Wait, actually? Okay, yeah. I forgot to change this one back to 16. Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, wait, chat. Farina is better than Yelan, as long as you can survive at 50% HP with no healing. Not better than Ino, but better than C0 Ino. Inefa has a shield. Yeah, so like it's possible, but it will be a little bit more difficult. Isn't this Key Farina? This is Key Farina. This is New Sword Farina. Is this no Q Farina? Yeah, it is. What about Sig? Sig will be a little bit better, but I don't think it's better than Key. Farina, R1. Yeah, it's worse than Key. Maybe you go HP Goblet here. All right, this is 12.4k. 11 point, no. You still go damage Goblet here. Yeah. Oh yeah, wait, actually, now that I think about it, your HP does not increase or decrease past the first rotation in these teams because you don't have a healer. Yeah, so this doesn't actually fucking work. That's funny. What about Elegy Yelan? We can take a look. Yeah, so Elegy Yelan is still worse than C6 Ino, but it's better than C0 Ino. I should actually have C0 Ino as well here. So C0, 111.5 motion value attack. 111.5, 321, 34.2. We don't have this. We lose 80 EM, and we lose this. Do we lose anything else? No, not really. Technically this, but this doesn't really fucking matter anyways. 107k. I should also add a line for percentage of C0 Ino. What set is Ino using here? She is on the new support set with Inefa on TOM. But you could also have Inefa on the support set and Ino on Noblesse, and it's pretty similar. Up to 1 con is Ino worse than Hydro MC. Ino's better than Hydro MC. Bro, Ino's better than Yelan in these teams, even in C0. But that's outright just because her cooldown is less than 16 seconds, so she doesn't extend your rotation. rotation. Like, if you look at the Yelan team, okay, if you remove Yelan damage and change your rotation to 16 seconds instead of 18, it's the same DPS as an 18-second rotation with Yelan's damage, right? That's why Ino's better. Because, like, yeah, she doesn't do that much, but she doesn't extend your rotation length, unlike basically every other Hydro option. The only reason Mona's not a strict upgrade is because you don't get full lunar charge uptime with her skill. If you had full lunar charge uptime with Mona, she'd be an outright upgrade over Ino, at least non-C6. We can look at Candace. Candace can use Fractured Halo. Wait, that's so funny. No shield. Candace's E, right, the counter, gives her a shield. It's a shield that disappears once the counter is over, but this doesn't require the shield to stay active. It just requires you to generate a shield. How about Esco Sig? She doesn't heal, so she can't proc that. So if you go Candace, what do you give her? Probably just Fav. You guys think it's gonna be better than Yelan? I actually think it will be, yeah. Instructor? No. Instructor won't have good enough uptime in these teams. Ooh! Candace is about as good as Ino. C6 Candace is about as good as C0 Ino. Better than Yelan. Ooh, weapon, this is Fav. I know it's free, yeah. Like, this isn't actually, like, something that matters. Like, you should just play Ino. But if you already have a build C6 Candace, you don't have to build Ino, which is nice, I guess. What artifact set is she on? The new one. Let's take a look at Hydro Goblet. It's actually slightly better. Okay. Let's take a look at EM Goblet. That's probably gonna be worse. Yeah, that's worse. Okay. I'd say that right now, the 110k-ish he gets in premium team optimal stuff it's fairly good, but with the context that you have to pull for 2 new units to get that, right? You have to pull for Inefa and for him. You have to compare that to your other alternatives, right? And it's good, but it's not outstanding, basically. The biggest thing, though, is Ino's complete dog shit, and we know that Columbina is supposed to fill a similar role, and there's no shot Columbina is going to be complete dog shit. So with Columbina, he's probably gaining 20k team DPS, at least. Think about it this way, okay? I think power level and reliance on teams-wise, Flins is very similar to Skirk if Farina didn't exist, but we knew Farina was coming in 3 patches. That's basically how I feel about him, right? So he's Skirk level. I expect him to be around Skirk level with Columbina. He's not Skirk level without Columbina. Potential, man. Okay, man. But 20% more is higher than Skirk. The thing is, you're assuming Columbina won't be the best last Skirk teams. And personally, I think she probably will be. Aware. Has the Jeffrey done calcs for Flins and without Inefa? Yeah. It seems like the best alternative for Inefa, if you don't have her, is gonna be Yeonsan, which is funny because Yeonsan isn't particularly good with Flins, but like, what the fuck else are you gonna play? C6 Yeonsan? Yeah. C0 is a lot worse, but C2's like good enough because the C6 itself doesn't do much. You don't need the uptime extension, and damage percent doesn't help you. Like, technically, I could add it here, but you don't really get the fucking damage percent anyways. You're not nice positive. What else do we want to calc for Flynn stuff? 2 calls without Inefa? I guess we can look at that, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. About as good. Technically, you have slightly higher ER requirements, so you'll get a little bit less stats, so it's going to be a little bit worse, but it's about as good. But then after that, for 3 cost, Inefa is better than either Flynn C2 or Flynn's R1. Dahlia doesn't have Hydro app, so he doesn't work. Yeah, Singso loses his Hydro app if he gets hit 4 times when he doesn't burst. So I don't know if that's really going to work, but we can take a look. 4 times is plenty. Yeah, I guess. AFK, Singto. I think that's a good way to describe this. Yeah, it's not as good. Unlucky. It's gonna be more fun, but it won't be as good. You just get too many stats from the new set. Damn. What if you didn't have more ER requirements? It is as good. Who heals? You're not healing. That means if you have Sig, especially if you get close to overcapping, TF might be competitive with Sig set. But yeah, it's not ideal. Doesn't Farina do 40% less damage? Yeah, I included that. I didn't look at first rotation damage. I didn't get the 40% damage on Farina. Fav Flins. True. That's also something you could do, but that one's a little more sus, I think. Yeah, a bit worse. Is Inefa necessary if I want to go for Flins? No. The difference between teams with Inefa and teams without her is pretty large, but Flins' C1 is incredibly impactful. So if you're going to get 2 5-stars for a Flins team, getting Flins and Inefa is fairly similar to getting C1 Flins. So if you don't like Inefa, you don't have to go for her. Isn't TF impossible to use? So my understanding of it is that TF doesn't reduce the Northland Spear cooldown, but it does reduce the skill cooldown of Ancient Rite, Arcane Light. Like, the cooldown goes, like, it gets those -1 second, like, procs in the background. Kind of like how Fischl... Does it work on Fischl, actually? I forgot. Like Chlorine, yeah. Kind of like on Chlorine, which would reduce your rotation length or allow you to do 2 of them per rotation. I don't have that confirmed, by the way. That's just an assumption. Do you look at Flins, Inefa, Farina, Shalana? I didn't, because there's no point. I can do it now if you want, though. It's just gonna be worse than Sucrose, though. It's just gonna be So yeah, Chilonen is like 20% behind Sucrose. Like Sucrose at 108k, Chilonen at 90k. It's less. It's like 15%. Oh no, I didn't include the dog shit instructor uptime we have in this team. I guess I should. There you go. Is Flins in teams without a Hydro as bad as Skirk and Melt? Kinda. We can take a look at that if you really want. Like Chavars. Right, there's no reason to do any non-Hydro team other than if you're using Chavars. Flins, Chavars. Just Chavars. So, what team do we do? Flins, Chavars, Mawika? I guess, yeah. Mawika, Yonson. And then C6 Chevy 60, it caps at 60, but it builds up over time and you don't spend that much time on Mawika. That's not that bad. I mean, yeah, but it's like 20k behind the Chlorine version. It's worse than Fischl, yeah. We can take a look at how it goes against Stolpa, though. Because that would be kind of funny, yeah. Is that it? No. We also have some Lunar Charge damage. I'm not calcing it, I can't be bothered. But you can see it's actually really good. Although I'm pretty sure if you are against Stolpa, you're better off using Inefa over Ianson in the Shovers team.
Deuce on the loose!
Yeah!
Deuce on the loose!
Deuce on the loose!